Welcome to Clixed Off, brought to you by Lucky Dice Cafe out of Huntsville, Alabama. Check them out at luckydicecafe.com. And now for your hosts, Daniel Powell, Jason Alvey, Alex Coos, and Tyler Speeds.
Hey everybody, welcome to Clixed Off today. This is your host Daniel Powell speaking. Just want to let everybody know that Clixed Off is brought to you by TrollandToad.com, world's largest HeroClix retailer. Find HeroClix new and old on TrollandToad.com and use coupon code CLIXEDOFF for 5% off your HeroClix order. Also, if you like what you're listening to today, check us out, patreon.com/CLIXEDOFF. $1 and above gets entered into our monthly giveaways, and $5 and above gets entered into our Patreon Discord server for HeroClix strategy and tactics discussion. And joining me today is Jason does not have Carnage Silver Surfer Alvey.
No, sadly I do not.
And also joining me is Alex does not have Carnage Silver Surfer Coos.
Yeah. Nope, I don't. We didn't get any Spider-Man. Like, we got the play-at-home kits, like, last week or the week before, so...
Right.
We got pre-release. And definitely no Surfer there.
Yeah, that's all I've bought is pre-release boosters. That's it.
Look, to be honest, like, I probably wouldn't have Carnage Silver Surfers right now if it wasn't for... the
Collation?
The Thanos. Well, no, I didn't pull one. I didn't pull any.
So did, like, a lot of people didn't pull any.
Yeah, no, the only reason I've got one, working on two, is because of the Thanos collection.
Yeah, it might as well be an Ultra Chase at this point.
Yeah, I finally laid one on hands on one because of the...
Oh, yeah, your Ultron army?
Yeah, the Ultron army and some of the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I'm just waiting on Jay to get another one, basically.
Are you keeping a tally of, like, in the NFL they do something where if they're trading picks, they'll, like, keep tabs on what those picks turned into for players. And they'd be like, this person traded this, and in the end they got this, and this.
Yeah,
like, I want to see a tally of I bought this one thing and it turned into all these Thanoses and Ultrons, which turned into all of this other stuff.
Yeah, so I guess an update on the Thanos collection would be, because you got to remember, like, not only did the Thanos collection have Thanoses, it had all of those KC figures.
Yeah.
Like, bunches and bunches of KC figures. It had those indie judge prizes, not the super rare ones, but just the regularly rare ones. It had a KC Superman. It's had some other Spider-Man stuff. It has the Ultrons.
But you knew, right? Like, who knew
it had Dooms. It had Dooms.
Like, when you opened it and you saw, like, originally, like a year ago or whatever, and you're like, oh, all these Ultrons, yay.
Well, so what was neat about the Ultrons was they were already in a baggie.
Oh, nice.
So I have a picture from when I was initially sorting the collection that there were 11 of the Ultrons in a baggie, the vet ones. So I just put them back in the bag and moved on, never thinking much about it until we saw the card. I mean, they had Porter announced, that all of the legacies were in there. That Friday of last week?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even hear it really because we were mid.
Yeah, and then
for Huntington stuff. So
and then I remember they announced it, and then. The card, I think Howard read the card to everybody and posted it, sort of thing, somewhere. Somebody got a picture of it at some point. And I was like, well, when I get back, I've got to post I got to find all the Ultrons. So we dug through all the tubs of stuff because it's just generally sorted Marvel and DC tubs, just 2 tubs left, and we found 6 more Ultrons, and I found the Nick Fury and dug out the Lokis. But what would you, probably the most saddest thing at the moment is that there is a Casey Green Lantern with the figure, then the dial top, but no dial bottom that I have been able. And I've probably tore that collection apart 3 times now looking for it. Because I looked for it originally, like, just because it had all the KC stuff in it. And then I looked for it again whenever BTU came out. And I looked for it again this past time. And I had, Sam helps me. And just no go. Just that dial bottom is lost to the ether.
Well, you are an inspiration to all the people buying huge collections and probably ultimately not finding anything that they want because they didn't hit it big. But
right,
you're still an inspiration to a lot of people.
But yeah, thank you. Yeah, but no, I would say, TJ was mentioning like the best investment ever, and I think my $200 investment probably close to $4,000 now.
Wow.
And I think like now it's a little bit debatable. It's a little bit fuzzy on the Thanoses because I traded a bunch of other stuff to get cards. Because I paired the Thanoses, I sold the Thanoses as card and figure bundles. But I traded a bunch of other super rares and stuff that I had at the time to get the cards. So there's probably a little bit more investment in there to get the cards. But I think I sold, around 20 to 25 Thanos bundles to start out with right out the gate.
For the community, right? For the
community.
For the community.
Right,
people.
Just because I knew everybody was going to bitch about him and get him, errated there a few months afterwards. So I realize, as Jason would say, I have nobody to blame but myself for Thanos getting errated because I sold a bunch of them. A bunch of people played him because of me. And it's all my fault. So,
well, Dan, I mean, we're both guilty of that sort of thing.
You know what, Dan? I think people would appreciate the growth that you're showing right now as a HeroClix player.
How's that? Because I take
you're admitting that it wasn't just the court of public opinion that just destroyed it. You did play a part.
No, it was definitely the court of public opinion. The court of public opinion
based off of your actions.
No, the court of public opinion about Thanos was wrong because he is perfectly.
Okay, we're taking step back. So you gotta take the win, buddy.
No, I'm not. Though there's no win. There's no win to take.
We're regressing here.
Yeah, we're going back. Okay, too soon to come out of rehab. Let's go back.
Yeah, no, you tried. You pushed me too hard, Alex. You pushed me too hard.
Look at it this way. Look at it this way. It took 6 or 8 months for Thanos to get ruined, right?
Yeah. I mean, in February when I sold them all, February, March, he didn't get fully errated till November.
I got Apocalypse killed in 1 day.
That's true. It was technically 2. It was 2.
Okay, 2. Yeah.
Yeah. So
1 weekend.
Well, okay, but let's think about this now. How much of that also had to do with, would it have been quicker because, Thanos and Apocalypse kind of go hand to hand a little bit. Thanos was rampant, and it's here's another big guy that's rampant as well. I wonder if any of that played a part in it. Because it felt like a 1-2 thing.
Well, Thanos got his other thing. Thanos got his other thing before Nats.
True.
Before US Nats. So.
Well, true. I don't think Apocalypse would have gotten errated like he did if it hadn't been for the triple Apocalypse team.
No, I don't think so. No.
No, he'd have been just fine if I hadn't done that. Yeah.
I think it was like 60-70% that, and I would say like 30% the amount of pure double losses that happened in Worlds because of Thanos and APOC, primarily APOC, because I played them. I mean, there were so many people that played APOC, and it's like you just didn't give up any points because you didn't have to.
And I didn't have a single double loss the entire time.
Yeah, it's like it was. I think double losses is just bad for the game, and not like bad in the sense of like you should only have very few, because there's supposed to be a deterrent, right? Like you should be playing to avoid a double loss.
Do we know how many of those there were, or it's just conjecture? I
know there was a lot. Like I remember.
Anecdotally, there's a lot, or you saw there's actual stats. There's a lot.
I had one.
Well, okay, you had one. Okay, that doesn't.
So you got to remember the double zero.
Zero.
The double zero. It also counts the amount of roll-offs that happened in cut too, because there were several of those. Those don't count as double zeros, but it does count. Like, as in the game didn't progress.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we had a few double losses in the HeroClix for Huntington's Rock Cup event. And
yeah!
Dan was one of two, maybe three.
I think it was just two. Adam and I both individually took our separate games to double zero losses.
Yeah, and for all those listening, wondering, we're going to cover HeroClix for Huntington's event and all that stuff probably in another episode.
Yeah, so we can start with the mini recap, right? I think the big thing was very positive weekend, very tiring weekend. Lots of great HeroClix played. Congratulations to Easton Brock for becoming the 2023 Silver Age World Champion. So we'll start
and congrats to Lucas, Scott, and PJ for winning the team Silver Age Team Highlander event. And I don't remember names off the top of my head.
James Tilton.
Thank you.
Tilton won the Scott Porter versus the World event. And
I thought it got renamed to Scott Porter versus the Warehouse.
Yeah, that is true. And then the Tracy Brock event, I should know, but I forget who won that one.
That was a wild time. But we'll like I said, we'll go into more detail.
Yeah.
In another episode, we're planning on getting some of the people we played with and stayed with to get on an episode, and also to save Jason a little bit, because I do feel terrible for Jason. Because you had events come up that just you weren't able to make it, and it was outside of your control. And you were the dutiful husband and father to be there for your family and not able to make it. And I don't want to sit here and talk while you're here like, oh, this was like one of the best HeroClix events I've ever been to.
Yeah, that's what I keep hearing.
Yeah, and it's like I feel so bad because like you were definitely missed 100%. And I can't wait to see future events happen because being on staff for it and being able to play, so I got both sides of it. It was a ton of fun. We ran it pretty good, like all things considered, with the mess up of FedEx and Avengers 60th. All things considered, for a majority, if not all of the people leaving to say this is an amazing event, that's a win for not just us, but for HeroClix. Because goodness knows, since we haven't had like a big event, we had PJ's event, which was pretty sizable. We had Dave and Newmark's event, which they had a good amount of people too. But like this was second year in a row, setting a standard, hopefully, of okay, here's this Rock Cup is back. This is a lot of people. We had 90-something people show up, I think, for Sealed, and that was on a Friday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like I already first thing I told the staff is we gotta have that event on a Saturday, because we probably lost 10 to 15 people that theoretically, because it was on a Friday and not a Saturday, right? Like, you probably could get more people that are like, oh, well, I don't want to take off to come down for just Sealed. But either way, man, it was great weekend. And I'm like, I think Dan, I can't remember if you said it on air or off. I'm still recovering.
No, we weren't on the air. Yeah, so it was. I'm still tired.
Yes.
So, definitely ready to feel fully recuperated from this event. So, physically,
and we had a little bit of had a little bit of gossip and controversy for a little bit, in the sense that the Gen Con event calendar came out and there was no Wiz Kids on there. Yeah.
Nope.
And then I guess they got rectified. I guess they realized, people are asking. We said we were, because remember, we for, I guess it was Gamma, we got posters by Jay Patel, but it was very hit or miss pictures. It was like here's a post from Onslaught, and Onslaught is going to be at Gen Con Nationals or something like that. And it's like, okay,
right.
But there was 0 HeroClix slides
about events. There was
exactly.
There were HeroClix slides about upcoming sets and stuff.
Right. They showed Notorious. They showed Disney Plus again, whatever it was called.
The second Disney Plus set.
Yeah, but that was it. Like, nothing about actual Gen Con. And so then they came out with the announcement of, save the date for Worlds, but they still didn't say Nationals at that point.
That's right. Yeah, so they came out with the other thing this week about Nationals at Gen Con, but no details yet. But we did today get the appreciation event loaded into
yes,
the Gen Con event catalog. There.
Yeah, because the other thing that had to come up over the weekend is when you went into the event calendar or catalog, no Whiz Kids, and then Onslaught was on the calendar, run by Baldwin, I think is who it is.
Bald Man Games.
Bald Man Games.
Man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bald Man.
Baldman, yeah. And if you look them up, Baldman Games, they run a lot of D&D stuff. So if you think about it, 100% that makes so much sense. Onslaught probably does not need to be in WizKids like game section. It needs to be in the D&D section with other people playing D&D stuff, and they turn around and there's Onslaught. Like, that makes a ton of sense. But there was no HeroClix, no Dice Masters, no nothing. And luckily they rectified that. I guess they forgot the event calendar came out or catalog, and people were talking about it. But yeah, they finally announced that the HeroClix Nationals is at Gen Con, and then the World Championship, once again, they reiterated, is at World. And then they talked about Dice Masters Worlds was at Gen Con.
Right.
Which I'm assuming is a space problem. Like, maybe they assume they don't have enough space for HeroClix and Onslaught.
I think
Dice Masters.
I think here's my guess. Is they think that they'll be able to attract more players to Gen Con for Dice Masters.
For Worlds, why not just do it Nationals?
What do you mean? Like, so instead of they're obviously not attracting Dice Master players to Memphis in the numbers that they thought.
Yeah, it's been pretty small every year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they get more, but I mean, I get it. I've actually recently been checking into Dice Masters, and shout out to Jocelyn, which I think everyone knows her because she's real big in Dice Masters and follows us, and she's been getting into HeroClix too. I've been hitting her up about learning to play Dice Masters because I've set myself a goal depending on how the event schedule falls out. If I'm able to play Onslaught, Dice Masters, and HeroClix at Gen Con, I am 100% going to try to do that. To get the unofficial title of Mr. WizKids.
Hat trick.
To get the hat trick. Because Attack Wing didn't count, right? Like, Attack Wing was blah. No offense to people who like Attack Wing.
It's fun.
Right. But, like,
I played
Onslaught...
it there at Gen Con before.
But Onslaught looks cool to me. Like, I played the demo. It was neat. Way too expensive. Like, $140 to enter a game is way too expensive here, WizKids. But either way, it's like, if I can play in, like, 2 national championships and a Worlds, or, then I'm absolutely going to try. I doubt it's going to work. I'm sure things clash timing-wise. But I'm looking out for Dice Masters and HeroClix because I think that'd be a ton of fun. But what do you guys think about it finally being announced at Gen Con, besides that it's way too late to be announcing it's going to be at Gen Con?
Right. So, you know, I what was it? Jeremy on our team had sent us Dragon Ball, was it, Jason?
Yeah, probably. That's what he plays.
Yeah, so Dragon Ball has their event schedule up.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was. Like, out a year out.
Right.
Like...
And so this was months ago. So I just Googled it here. Dragon Ball event Dragon Ball Super Card Game, right? And they have, here's April, here's May, here's all their stuff out for like the next year.
Yeah, Flesh and Blood, I think, does the same thing. I think they have the, like, hey, this is what's happening through most of the year, maybe to fall or winter. Like, they have a bunch of stuff. Now, do you think it's a logistical thing, or do you think it's like a prize thing? Like, is they just don't know where they're at pricing wise? Because as evidence of,
here's the thing. I don't think it's a pricing thing.
No,
because last year at Nationals, they gave us the extra empty the warehouse chase and prime set stuff.
You mean that, oops, we overbaked, oops, we found something in the warehouse that we didn't know was there?
Right. That went over amazingly.
Yeah, sure.
I loved that. That absolutely made my day.
Too, yeah.
I forgot which one. Oh, did I get ABPI maybe?
Yeah, you sold it to Howard immediately. So
yeah, I just sold it to Howard immediately. So
mine has already paid off. So,
right.
Well, I mean, I got it for free, but I sold. I got your Iron Man. Your Legacy Iron Man was in that, so can't complain.
Yeah. So, like, it can't be a pricing thing. You
can always put pricing to be announced. Just give us the damn schedule.
Right. And I don't know what it is, right? Like, if I give WizKids the benefit of the doubt, it's maybe they're negotiating with Gen Con, maybe they just can't get the space that they want, they kind of fallen off the ranking, the priority list or whatever you call it. But back there where we were last year, there was a ton more space. So I find maybe that a little bit hard to believe.
I don't know if there was a lot more space. Like the WizKids section, I don't think there was a lot.
They had more. Those tables from where we were at to the wall were pretty empty. The best I remember.
There were times it was pretty full with BRs, the X of Swords event, the demos. Now they won't have the Onslaught demos there this time, so they should have more space. But maybe they need more room for the Dice Masters. So
maybe.
I don't know.
They need an organized play team. That's what they need. They need a team that's in charge of organized play, and I guarantee you they don't have one.
As far as we know, it's split across a couple of the folks there, and they're already super busy. It really sounds like their folks are just super duper busy, and they just need more folks to run some of this stuff. And so I'm just going with Alex to answer your question. I believe they're just overworked, and
Yeah.
they can't get out in front of it enough for us. Like there's no reason at this point, right? Like I just doubt that WKOs are coming back, and I have a point to make. I have a point to make here with this. What this has led to, I think at this point, is that every event is becoming the top tier of meta. Let me explain. Like, you talk about, like, whenever you have states, which I know states are coming still, but you're talking about, like, states and WKOs happen in the same quarter, like whether that's 2Q, 3Q, or even, 1Q. You talk about, like, some folks will go in, be able to win their first WKO, and then, win their state, right? Get the prizing that they're after, and then that second, third WKO or states that they go to, they play the off-the-wall team, the fringe tech, the new debut of something that they don't know it'll work, and you get to see those things do really well and expand the meta. But right now, you talk about, like, there's been very few modern events since Florida. There was PJs. There was Florida and PJs. And, like, those events are, showing a fairly narrow meta. And, the Silver Age stuff with the new surfers added, show a lot of the same stuff from PJ's modern event, right? Switches and, that kind of stuff. I'm not saying it's super narrow, right? There is room there, but, you're still got the Mad Gems, the Scarlet Witches, and the addition of surfers.
Sure. I'll agree with that because we're not really talking about the metas, we're talking about events. So I'll agree so we could continue the conversation about events.
Right. So, we're just kind of talking about everything tonight for about 90 minutes, right? So, event-wise, right, like, we should know whether there's going to be summer WKOs. Just...
Yeah,
we want just some prizing.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like, I know they announced that they weren't making some stuff anymore.
Okay,
but do a warehouse empty, right? Just give us some prizing, and just organize the event.
Okay, well, I think that's the part that they don't want to do because they're struggling to do with Gen Con, right? Like, they can't organize the two big events. I think the one main problem is that there's just probably not enough stores to support WKOs like it used to.
No,
a majority of the stores have died.
That's not. I don't believe that to be true. There are new stores out there that are more than eager to play. I don't know if it falls within the categories they used to have that to be eligible for WKO.
Like, I feel like what they had to do before, they have to throw out because I don't know if anyone's really using the win anymore. There's a lot of aspects, but the main thing I want to mention about it is that we have a lot of figures that we don't know how they're going to be distributed yet, right? Because we have all those OP kits, which are structured differently. Because WKOs, remember, were prizing revolved around two things. One, entry into national or worlds, whichever one. And then it was basically you were kind of getting just OP kit level stuff. Like, some of it was just redials. And then you got the one boxed figure. And like, it wasn't like it was significant prizing like we're talking about with some of these bigger events. It was enough, though, to get, like, if there's one happening in Birmingham, you get 20 people down there. Like, it was still good, but I don't know if we just paint it with a rosier picture because we think of fond times, but it wasn't like we were getting factory sets or Chase Prime sets or anything close to that. Well, they've shown 2 to 3 different OP sets with very good figures in them. Right? Like, there's a Moon Knight coming out that you look at and it's like, this guy's kind of beefy for a Moon Knight. Like, this is a
pretty cool looking figure, and we don't know how they're going to be distributed.
Right.
They could be the monthly store thing, or they could be kind of consolidating WKOs and monthly store things into an event thing where maybe it's not happening monthly, it's happening less frequently, but still bigger. I don't know. I'm holding out a little bit of hope, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mean,
we're gonna get like a middle ground somewhere.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like this. Like, Alex, I could come up with. I was sitting there listening to them and thinking them. I think I could come up with 40 stores that are ready to run WKOs nationwide.
How many of those ran it before?
I don't know.
Well, go through your 40 in your head. And
several of them. There'll be several new ones.
I mean, maybe part of it, sure, there's probably like a regional bias for me because there are not a lot of stores running HeroClix.
But yours is one of them.
Area.
Yours is one of them.
One of what?
One of the stores that can run WKOs. There's like...
No, we don't run HeroClix events. Like, we don't play. We play
right, because you don't run it. You
out.
Don't run it on the win, so you can do it by. They just need somebody to put it together and run it. And...
I guess my thought is, what are they hoping to gain from that? What does that get Whiz Kids to run this?
You'd sell the kits.
But they could sell them as monthly OP kits, and it'd still be.
Yeah, no, but you put together a higher.
I'm trying to think more realistic.
Here's
not hopeful as a HeroClix player. That's
okay, so here's what WKOs get you. Right. Mm-hmm. There's in-store play. There's large in-store play. 15 people. They see an event going on. They see the figures out on the map. People come into the store. It is something that they make money with by selling the kits, and it's in-store advertising that they make money on.
My thought with that,
it generates excitement. Like
it does. Don't get me wrong, it does. But I feel like WizKids hands that off to the store and says it's up to you to drive and sell. Because honestly, has there been a set that they haven't quote unquotes like sold out of? I mean, we think they've sold out of, but like I haven't heard of a set that they're like, oh man, we can't sell this. Like we have too much. Like I have not heard of anything like that where you're still able to buy a set years later or something like that. You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
right. I get what you're saying, but
it doesn't appear like they've had an issue selling any sets recently.
I know, but you want to sell more product, right? So, and you're right, they hand it off to the store, but that's fine because their player base wants to play WKOs. It generates excitement. They want to play the WKOs. They want to know more about states. They want to know more about rock super Qs or whatever they call them these days. But the main thing is they want the WKOs. It's a boxed convention. You know, you put together a kit with the boxed convention, the rebranded things or repackaged things, you know, or objects, right? Whatever. And you put in some BR maps so the stores can buy some BR stuff, buy some products for BRs.
Or some dual BR, skirmish maps since they're same size now.
Yeah, or, if they can run sealed WKOs, that sells more product because there's a lot of stores that want to run sealed WKOs. That's a thing.
I'm just curious.
You're asking me to provide the benefit, and I've provided like 5 benefits.
Right. My thought is I don't know how much of a benefit that actually is, and whether the cost ratio for WizKids to like put in the effort to do that. What do
they need to get out of it? What do you think they need to get out of it?
They make a lot of money at Worlds, obviously.
They need to. So I think what Alex is saying is there enough stuff to justify somebody's salary, or
that and all the logistics needed on organizing, selling, shipping, all of that stuff. Like
they already have shipping issues. They brought in 2 new groups or whatever, right? But like they're having a hard time just getting their normal stuff out. I can absolutely see WizKids saying, you know what, like it's a logistical nightmare. We are fine just doing monthly OP kits. We're doing play-at-home kits, so we're getting stuff out into people's hands, and the community is creating their own events. We've got Rock doing kind of their own thing as well. Like they don't need us except for big events.
They're sort of creating their own events. This is nothing like it used to be.
No, I completely agree. And once again, I am not saying this is what I want, and this I'm just trying to think of like rationally what could WizKids be thinking.
Why do we keep making it okay for them to do nothing?
I mean,
why?
Because I mean, what other?
Why do we do that?
What other options do we have? Do we want
to do something?
Like I had a long discussion with Alex Morse, I think his name is, at HeroClix for Huntington's, about this very subject, like the fundamentals of HeroClix, where the community is. And one of the theories I have is that HeroClix used to be WizKids' moneymaker. It used to be the thing that kept WizKids going. Like this is how they made their money. But then COVID hit, and then D&D minis exploded. And in my head, D&D minis have got to be making them so much more money than HeroClix. Because you look at stores, look at how many D&D minis there are compared to HeroClix generally. And it's a much smaller like a package. You know, you just sell 1 for $10 or however much it is. Like they have to be like printing money right now with all of that. And so it's like, for me, that means HeroClix is now secondary. It's not required to be successful for HeroClix to survive. They wanted to. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say like, they're going to throw away HeroClix. No. I just think, well, now they don't have to rely on HeroClix, rely on big tournaments. Like, they could say, hey, we're still selling a lot. We've got D&D minis. They brought back Con LEs. They brought back a lot of stuff. But maybe doing WKOs was just too much for them. And they don't have someone like Kenny to do all of that. And they're not really interested in doing all that. They have Onslaught to work on. They have other board games to work on. And so that sucks for us. But it's not the end of the world for HeroClix. I think it's just we have to accept the new reality. That I have no expectations that WizKids is going to bring back WKOs.
So that's where like my advice becomes like the meta narrows, and the entry point to competitive play unfortunately goes up. Because the variety goes away.
So let me ask you this in the same vein. Instead of waiting for WizKids, should HeroClix players, like how PJ did it, like how David Newmark does it, how we did it a couple years ago? It's probably been a lot more than a couple years.
It's been almost 2, yeah. Since we had the
like,
last Clixed Off Classic.
Yeah, so like, should the community be just trying to run more events just in general? Should we stop waiting for WizKids?
The problem with hosting events is, and this is what we've ran into with the Clixed Off Classic, is finding table space at a store finding table space outside of a store is very hard to do. So you have to rally a store that's big enough to hold 50 people to want to hold an event unofficially, right? With, prize support that you've pulled together, right? So there's logistical challenges there, right?
But we used to do that.
Yeah. Isn't that kind of how fundamentally Rock kind of
they had prize kits. You got the TCG player points. The store went and bought a kit and then was able to do that. There is no kit like that anymore.
There's no kit available.
There's no kit available.
Right, but I'm just thinking like I wasn't playing around that time. When the Rock kits first started with TCG and all of that, was that made out of necessity?
Yeah.
Yes.
Was that because there wasn't like a similar boat we are in now, to where there were the big events, Wizard World, whatever, all those big events, but there wasn't enough in the middle to satisfy, like you said, Dan, growing meta play and consistent play to where.
Yeah, I think that's what that started from.
So, I mean, we're kind of in this awkward space where we, for a couple years, had amazing prizing, and sometimes it's hard to get enough for, like, Joe Schmo, like me. If I wanted to run an event, I'm in a great location to run it, in my opinion. I'm in the South, but not too deep South. Like, I could run an event and get Kentucky people, maybe Ohio, but I could get a lot of South people. Good area. But I wouldn't know where to begin to try to get prize support that would be enough to draw people in. And then there's the risk, obviously, like, okay, if I really want to get that prize support, it would cost me money. And there's the risk of, well, it doesn't pay out. And you would typically have to have a store to back you. One, if you wanted to run sealed, like David Newmark has, what was the name? The Florida store.
Oh God, Coliseum, not Coliseum of Commons.
No, shoot, I'm blanking.
I'm blanking on it. Sorry, David.
House Gaming.
Yeah.
House Rules Gaming.
House Rules Gaming. Yeah, House Rules Gaming.
That's it.
Whew. Pulled that out. They had them to back it, right? Because they had to, because they're the ones who were able to get the actual bricks. Because me as a consumer, I'm limited on how much I could get to actually run an event. They can actually purchase from Alliance or whatever. But I think we're to the point to where, unless The Rock comes back with like some great kits, which is always a possibility. We've got states. Maybe that leads into something else. But maybe we need to entertain more PJ style events, especially leading up to Nats, which it's a little late to try to do anything like that. But
the problem is like the PJ style event requires a lot of footwork.
Yeah, and people have to be willing to do that.
Yeah, but it's hard. It's really hard. It's like, if we want to do it, right? Like if I wasn't able to find the place that we could do, and we wouldn't be able to do it again. And
yeah, we don't have our store available anymore.
Not we do. If there was a WKO, they'd make space for us. But he's not going to make a.
Well, they totally reconfigured the store during COVID, and we don't have that giant play area anymore.
Let me ask you this.
So, but at any rate, right? So, and the only reason we were able to hold the Clixed Off Classic and have such good pricing that we did in 2021 was we've got two great sponsors. Well, we've got three great sponsors overall, but two great sponsors that help sponsor all the pricing for that event. And, we chipped into the other stuff that we had won over the prior 2 years of the pandemic. So if you're not a play group that wins stuff or has sponsors, right, you're putting out a lot of your own money to run this event. That's not a kit, right? That doesn't for sure have desirable prizing in it, right? Like a Con LE or a Chase Prime set or that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah,
you have to be in a place where you can run it for money.
Yeah, I think we're in just that weird space of like we're still trying to figure out how to run events on our own without The Rock and without reliable WizKids. And it's just difficult. The ones who could do it are Newmark and PJ, because he's run the events before and he's done that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, even for us, right? I mean, we got like 23 players, I think, that year, and which was fine. I mean, we definitely, we broke even on that event. We wouldn't have if we had to buy our own some of our own prizing. But
now, what about? Let me ask you real quick. What about the idea of? Would you play an event if it was at a local convention, and let's say it's an affordable entry, like not like $50 to enter this place. Like,
I mean, that's fine. You just still gotta you still gotta rent the stuff from the. You still gotta rent the facility, and rent the table space.
Right, but for most conventions, especially so I'll give me for example. Locally, I've got 3 stores. None of them play HeroClix. One of them we play occasionally on Sundays when it's like a release day or pre-release. But one store used to run events. COVID happened. They kind of transitioned their whole store to just selling stuff. And so they don't even have any play space. The other store just doesn't really do HeroClix. They do a bunch of other things, the third store. But they all play it. They all go to local conventions. We have like 3 or 4 bigger conventions for Chattanooga. But they run the games there. So they typically have a lot of space at these type of things. And so it might be something where it's like, oh, my local just doesn't have space for 40 people. But at a convention, they probably do have space for 40 people, especially if that means 40 people are coming to the convention, because the convention would love that, 40 more people, and it's promoting the store, and it's promoting HeroClix. Like, the cost there is a little bit less, I feel like, because they're not having to front the space or all of that. That's all provided by this whole big convention. So it's one of those things where, like, oh, if I want to run an event, I'm debating of, hey, if there was a convention, do I want to try to tie it in, or does that raise the price point too high?
At the end of the day, Alex, you just gotta have good pricing.
I mean, I don't think pricing's everything, but yes, I mean, but I think the other thing that is, and I talked about this, was like, once again with a few people at HeroClix for Huntington's event, is the systemic problem that HeroClix has is getting new players. I feel like if you look at the player base, I feel like the average age has just risen.
Wait a minute. You want to know a good way to get players?
I am transitioning into that. Yes, I'm in the middle of my.
Okay, go ahead with your monologue.
Yes. I'm transitioning into our next topic, if you were wondering.
No, I wasn't transitioning to the next topic. I was just going to say that there's a good way to get new players, and that's by having really good in-store events with a bunch of people playing at them.
Oh, I thought you were going to throw in an Auxxit thing, too, or
something. No, not yet. I was just going to say it's a really good way to get players in stores by having big events, right, to get people that come into the store super excited. Yeah. Or if you say, like, hey, man, I know you just started playing this week. We got this big event this weekend. Oh, I don't want to play competitively. No, man, it's fine, dude. Look, we're going to have battle royals, but we really want you to play in the main event. Here, you can use my grand prize Apocalypse. Just play this dude at 300 points. As long as you got your sword and they punch you, just roll higher than their defense value, damage value, and they don't damage you.
I think that is setting up someone to hate HeroClix, because Jay Major did not look like he was having a great time. Well, he doesn't look like he's having a great time most of the time when he's playing. When he puts his game face on. Let's be real. We've all played against Jay, right? Like, you can't tell if he's having a great time or not.
He doesn't. He's not the most animated guy.
He's got that poker face down.
He does. Yeah,
he does. He has, and this is meant to be in a very positive way. Jay.
Absolutely, I love Jay.
We love Jay. Jay's a great dude. Yeah.
Always great playing against him. That's a great way to get someone to not want to play HeroClix.
Or just whatever. Be like, hey, man, look, you like Batman? Dude, look, here's a world's finest piece.
I don't know.
Here, you know what? You can play world's... Whatever, right? We're belaboring the point here too much.
I guess I was just spoiled by the 2014 to 2019 era of HeroClix, I guess.
That's fair.
Like, that's what I want back. I'm not going to accept anything less.
Yeah, and I want to go play, right? I don't.
Yeah. So that's what we did then. We played a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, and at the end of the day, right now, what we're doing is organizing.
Not playing at all.
And we're not playing at all. We're not playing at all. And
well, maybe we're becoming the adults in the group now. Like, it's
like we're having to be the ones to run things, whereas before we let other people run, and it's like, well, we want it to support the game.
Well, we were running them too. We were doing both.
We were running them and playing.
Oh, okay.
There was enough to run and play.
You missed out on all that, Alex. Like,
Probably. Yeah.
it was a magical time.
Yeah, I mean, now, like, what? Here's the thing.
I got the tail end of it.
Would I be able to like play, overnight 3 weekends a month like I used to? Okay, no, probably not. If there was a magically 3 weekends a month I could go play. I mean, I have a kid now, yeah, he can't play yet. So maybe by the time this whole thing rebounds, Theo will be able to play and we'll be on the road again.
There you go.
2 weekends a month or whatever, 3 weeks a month. But we've talked.
We need to win the lottery, Daniel. That's just what it is. We need to that we can solve all the problems.
That's right. Yeah. So I mean, we're belaboring the point. I've literally said these points before on previous episodes, but I would say that covers our first topic. Gen Con announcements.
Oh, well, see, I was actually going to use that to transition to what is a great way to bring in new players, though, is a format that would work better for newer players. And I was going to transition that into our format talk, which
right,
and kind of mixed in with the Gen Con talk.
And a great place to pick up new figures for the new pulp format and theme format is Auxxit. Auxxit is a HeroClix buying platform. Join the HeroClix Cafe today. Link in bio. Thanks to Auxxit for being a great sponsor of the show.
So
that was completely not forced at all.
No, that vibed. That just
vibed
right in there, man. It
sounded really natural, man.
It sounded really natural. We do appreciate Auxxit. I got to talk to Bill at HeroClix for Huntington's, and
great guy.
Yeah, great guy, and we do appreciate Auxxit. Our awkward delivery aside, so new formats. Pulp format is Popper Plus. I want to talk about Pulp first.
Popper Plus.
Before we even get into the actual format, I want to know, love or hate the name Pulp the Pulp format.
Well, I feel like it's kind of like Pulp Fiction, and when the guy turns around to the back seat and like pops the guy. So
I don't like the name necessarily, but
no, it's fine. But again, it's new format.
It's fine.
It's fine.
I get it. It took me time to research it. I was like, okay, pulp, like orange juice, like where are they going with this? And then you realize that pulp is. There's also a comic reference to where like pulp comics were like a lower quality type of comic, and so that's kind of more of what it's relating to. I wish they workshopped it a little bit more, or they just called it Pulp Clixion or something. Like there's avenues they could have workshopped that a little bit better. But basically the new format, and this is one that they said is going to be in a tournament in Gen Con. No, I doubt it's going to be a format that's like, oh, there's a Pulp Nationals or Pulp World, but it's a new format that is, I believe, the one they said in Gen Con is going to be 300 modern, and you can only use commons, uncommons, and rares. There's no equipment. There's no like extra stuff. You can't assign none of that. There's no non-standard terrain. It's basically figures on a board. And that's
I like that idea.
And so, like you said, it's Popper Plus because you actually have rares, which is what I thought. Personal opinion, it's what Popper should have begun to begin with, because whenever you open a booster and you don't see a super rare or chase, you think, man, another rare. And so it's like I didn't want another format where I thought, man, I can't even use that in this upcoming event because they don't allow rares. So I'm actually excited for this event, this type of event. I hope it is supported from the standpoint of WizKids monitors it, if you know what I mean. Like if a figure gets grossly out of control,
they like do a ban list like they do in Silver Age or something like that. I doubt that's going to happen, but
yeah.
Well, I hope it's not the next skirmish format.
Well, I mean, skirmish had the problem of they were doing something absolutely ridiculous, and like putting numbers on the middle of the map, and like.
Well, I get it, but we pretty much just said, "Hey, this is," and then we just forgot about it.
Well, that came right before COVID, also.
I know. I stopped making excuses. I'm just saying. That's what
it also was a garbage format. No offense to the guy.
Was it? We didn't get to play it enough to know if it was good or not.
I remember when it came out, everyone was like, well, it's going to be great when you throw a lockjaw in the middle there or something. Like, I remember people talking about, like, the game wasn't meant to be played this way. And
no, it wasn't.
Pulp, on the other hand, that's kind of what you play at your kitchen table. That's what you play in sealed half the time because that's all you pull. Like, that's fine. Like, the game is, I mean, arguably, you could say the game was built to work in this type of format. So I'm game for it. I love the concept. I think what I was saying before, it's great for newer players. So like if you were having a big event, they were enjoying sealed, they were enjoying some BRs, and they're like, well, I kind of want to get into some constructed. I want to get into some constructed events. I would instantly say we got a pulp event coming up. You should get into that. That gets you into a little bit of team building. That lets you see some things without having to dive head first and maybe have a really bad day because you face some really crazy teams. You can still face that in Pulp, don't get me wrong, but it's manageable. And so I love it. That's why I hope they support it, and I'm hoping we talk about it if it keeps going. We have events where we talk about it a little bit. At least when it comes to like set reviews and stuff, I think it'd be interesting to now we can say, well, this is good at your kitchen table. We can now say, well, it's got potential in the Pulp format.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna try to play it at Gen Con for sure.
Yeah, I want to also.
Yeah, so. I think so. Just make sure you have a molecule, man.
But yeah, there's a lot of good rares.
And just make sure you have your is equipment allowed?
No equipment.
Nope. Sidelines are capped at no, they're not. I was reading the wrong one.
That's
it's
format.
purely all the figures are unique. That's the other thing. So that's a big improvement. You don't have a bunch of just stacking Sinisters from Exosort's OP. You only get one. And no Saturnine or anything to go with it. Teams can only consist of characters other than maps and standard terrain markers. So no non-character game elements can be used.
Huh. So
no equipment.
Yeah. Yeah, make sure you have your molecule, man. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, for the next few months anyway.
For the debut of the event at Gen Con, make sure that you bring your molecule man with you to the event.
Or Franklin Richards. Like we could do a little bit of a talk about it, or I'll do something separate. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll do some Pulp stuff. We want to do a little. Once we know the schedule for Gen Con, right? It'll make sense where we talk about it and that sort of thing. More so than anything. But so I like it. Commons, uncommons, rares. I like it. It's going to be fun.
Another format that they put out was called Theme Format. This one, all characters on the build, including those on the sideline, must share a printed keyword. So there's no keyword cheating. They all must share a printed keyword. All game elements are considered to be unique. So there's like a Highlander effect. And sidelines are capped at 1 game element per 100 points. So it's 3 sideline elements. Theme format highlights forced construction, rewarding players for finding the themes that can best synergize together. And this will debut at Gen Con, just like the Pulp one, with 300 points silver. And then they added in there with the following restrictions: no ATAs, battlefield conditions, characters with a D20, event dials, feats, location bonuses, resources, or special terrain. So I'm not sure if the person who wrote that understands how Silver Age works,
Right, but they did take out location bonuses, which is a big deal. So it's on top of silver, no location bonuses. But you can use objects and and you can use equipment and
anything banned in silver is banned in this event.
Right, and I don't have.
So it means no ID cards, right?
Right.
Yes, thankfully, no, none of that.
Sadly, yeah. But
thankfully,
because Captain Marvel, is 150 points. She has cosmic, so it would fit the thing. You know what? I need to make sure Icarus has the cosmic keyword. I was gonna say otherwise, my team from Silver Age is ready to go. And look at there, he does have the cosmic keyword. So
yeah, there's my gripe is that they shouldn't have had non-named keywords be part of it.
What is it? Oh, never mind. Wait a minute, Jason. You're right, because named theme teams are casual.
Do they even differentiate between the two anymore?
They not any sort of rules, I don't think. They might in like the comprehensive or something, but I don't think fundamentally. Jason, I haven't said that name theme team thing in a long time.
They are when you're not being a jerk.
What are you guys' initial thoughts on the theme format?
My silver. Is there going to be an event at? Debut Gen Con. Yeah. My Silver Age team's already packed in my box, so I love it. I love the unique part of it. That means no maggot spam, no surfer spam, no Saturnine spam, no sinister spam, no
keyword cheating,
no monster fluff spam. So yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, I'm apprehensive about it. I think it'll be fine. I don't know. There's something about it that's like it doesn't feel like this.
Apprehensive?
Yeah, I'm not,
because it's just a better modern age, a better Silver Age.
It's not a better Silver Age. I don't know how successful it'll be.
Depends on the pricing.
Right. I guess I'm thinking about like the first thought. A lot of people, I know we had this in our group, was why are they announcing a bunch of formats when they could barely support modern?
Yeah,
and it's like the ones they announced. Hope I was pumped for, because in my head it's like this makes sense. Newer players, HeroClix has a problem with getting simpler games. But makes sense. Pauper was popular when it was popping when Chris Cottrell was doing his thing. Like it was pretty popular at the time. Makes sense. This one, from a building standpoint, it's cool. I like it. I just don't know if there's room in the field for this format between silver, modern, and potentially pulp.
Yeah, I just think it becomes I actually, my opinion is that it's just a better Silver Age format.
Like I fully believe, for anyone listening, that 100% I would count on them having some sort of event for each format at Worlds 2. Because remember, they had like the scientists, blah 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 type event. Like they had a bunch of random events that we didn't play in because we were playing in the the big event. But they had a bunch of different events going on through the weekend. So no doubt they're probably going to have both of these there somewhere. So if you're interested in it, go to Gen Con, play in it. I'm going to try to play in it. If I am not doing the Mr. WizKids challenge, I'll try to play in both. And we'll try to talk about both as well, because I know if you're a newer player and you're thinking and you're listening to our show to get into modern and whatnot, and you're like, man, pulp doesn't sound as scary. Sure. Well, I mean, I feel like we want to talk about it, and let us know as well if you're specifically, hey, can you guys
leading up to Gen Con, talk about theme format more, because I'm very interested and I could use some guidance on that. Sure. Let us know. The rest of the article, they really only talk about the 2 ages, right? Like they talk about modern, they talk about Silver Age, they actually reference Golden Age for once. I don't know if they've ever, the last time they actually mentioned that Golden Age exists. And then they like detailed, here's Battle Royale, here's the upcoming tournaments, and then they showed us a picture from Wheels of Vengeance. So overall, it was.
Is that Dracula?
It looks like it.
Oh
yes,
yeah, no,
if you hover over it, it says Dracula high res.
Yeah, it says Marvel Set 51021 Dracula high res render.
Yep.
So that's
51. That might be a. Well, 51. We don't know what 51 means. So
yeah,
well, Marvel set.
That's set. That's
Marvel
the 51st set.
Marvel Set 51. Yeah. Yeah.
21 means that's probably an uncommon.
Yeah.
So, to talk more about Gen Con and Nationals coming up, since Nationals is at Gen Con, likely the last set we're getting leading up to that is Avengers. Notorious doesn't come out till 3rd quarter, which could technically be in July, but Avengers comes in June. So I would not really count on Notorious being legal for Nationals. That'd be kind of insane if they tried to squeeze that in. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah,
you think it's going to be? You think it's just going to be Avengers 60 is the last one we
I
get
think
before?
I think it'll probably be Avengers 60.
Yeah.
That sounds about right. There is a chance that it's Notorious, but I'm excited about it being Avengers 60, right? So I think when it comes to like the Brad events, I think we'd love to have Brad start those back up, and as soon as Brad's ready to go, I think we're ready to start including Avengers 60 in our playtesting online.
And we've also got the Iconics. We don't know which ones we'll have by then. We know Spider-Man, Wolverine, maybe Thanos.
Maybe Thanos, yeah.
The others, I think, are all also Q3. We saw their dials very recently, but so those are newer figures. Just trying to think of figures since Spider-Man that's going to be coming out, that's going to be legal, that you should think about, that we haven't necessarily covered. I don't know if any of the OP figures that they showed, like the DC ones and the Moon Knight ones, I don't know if any of those will be legal.
Right.
And the Scott Porter ones, too. That's
we know the Scott Porter ones won't be legal for Nationals.
Right. It's even if they're going to be for Worlds. But
yeah, they are most likely trending to be available for Worlds, but not for Nats. Since you mentioned Scott Porter, what did you all get your Scott Porter pre-ordered?
Yes.
Yep. I lucked out. We had a talk the night before because we stayed up sort of till midnight.
I stayed up till the day. Based off the rumor, we stayed up the night before HeroClix Huntington's was to start, and we were all traveling in. We stayed up till midnight, so we started out our weekend tired. And but thanks to folks in our Discord, Wesley posted the link at like 10:53 that morning because I guess he'd been sitting there refreshing all morning, and I
sat there and ordered it in the hospital waiting room that day. Got it done.
Yeah, I got it on a whim. I was just I saw the post. I was like, oh yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and buy it, not knowing like 5 minutes later it was going to be sold out.
Yeah, it's sold out in like 59. The first 800 sold out in 59 minutes.
Yeah, that's pretty nutty.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like I didn't. Somebody had asked about it. Adam Masajuweski had asked about it. The Scott Porter figure issue is being sold on the WizKids website. So let me ask y'all this: do you think it was an issue how it was being sold on the website.
I think it Go ahead.
I don't know how else it would have been sold.
Yeah. So, as far as we know, the upper limit on there was 6 of them.
6? Yeah.
And
that might have been a bit much. But, yeah. But I don't know. Like, the charity got their money. That's the main thing.
Yeah, the charity got their money, and, you know, there's no reason to say that they're not going to be able to do more. And, you know, I think at the end of the day, you're going to find them for sale on eBay. And, you know, the problem is, like, if you see them for one of the Facebook for sale groups has already banned it. Like, you can't sell it.
They banned selling over.
Yes, they banned selling it for over. Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah,
which is how they should. Right?
Which is that's totally fine, right? Like if you buy it for 20 and then let's say you resell it for 30 shipped, like
that's probably okay.
That's probably fine. Well, because at the end of the day, it's 20 plus shipping, and you're going to sell it for 30 shipped, and there's going to be fees taken out of it, so you're probably breaking even.
I'm glad they sold them all, but I don't agree with people buying 6 of them just to scalp them because that's kind of shitty,
so you're not going to be able to sell them on Facebook at this point. You're going to have to sell them on eBay, and then people are going to eventually put the 2 and 2 together, and they're going to figure out who you are, and it wasn't a cool thing to do. So if you're going to scalp them,
you'll be on the Smack Talk Facebook. At some point.
Which we don't participate in any of that, right? Just. It
doesn't mean we don't look at it.
Doesn't mean we don't look at it, right? Yeah. But at the end of the day, right, like, yeah, if you bought them to resell them, whatever, shame on you. Just resell them at cost, whatever. It was for charity, and nobody's to say that WizKid's not going to reprint 1,000 more of them at some point.
And if you bought 6 of them for like your play group, don't feel bad, man. Like
if you bought 6 of them for your play group for like for prizing and that sort of but if you bought 6 to scalp, you don't do that. That's not cool.
I think that's why people were asking why is there not limits and something like that's the exact reason. Like the ones that got 6 for their locals, because a lot of it happened in the middle of the day during a weekday, so like a lot of people, you could have been in a work meeting and hopped out. Whoops, you missed it. Sorry, buddy. You happen to have a meeting at that time, but. Like, that's exactly why 6 probably is an okay limit, because some people needed to. Some people were like, "Hey, this is my opportunity to pay for your charity, get some figures to be able to give to my local group, or I'm just buying for locals who just can't make it." And I think that's fine. I mean, I wish I could have done that for my local group. Like, I didn't think about it at the time. I just thought of, I got to get my one, right? Like, I don't want to miss out, and I didn't want to buy extra if I didn't need it. But then I thought, because I think maybe 1 or 2 locals missed out, and it's like, that stinks, man. I bought one. If I knew you were not able to get to your computer, I would have tried to buy one for you. But I'm with Jason. They didn't really have another option. Like, they had to do it on their website.
I mean, where else did you want them to sell it at? I mean, just at the Rock Cut? That would have been even more. That would have been even worse. Like, I mean, that's the most widespread way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, but they're not supposed to come out till like August or September, right?
Yeah, I think so.
That's what it said, Q3 to maybe July. I think that's what it said on the page, right? So I mean, like,
no, they said they're going to ship out the end of August, beginning of September. Yeah,
so you know what that tells me? That they don't have them.
Right, that's fine.
So these are all pre-orders.
Yeah, they are. They said that.
They are.
Scott Porter said that on the show.
Yeah, like, I don't know. In my head, it's like I'm not getting to the point with WizKids, but I would really wish they get to the point of we will sell with what we have in hand, because there's just been concerns before about like, oh, well, we don't actually have it. Like the HeroClix Runningtons thing. It's like, it's concerning. The whole thing with this figure and the travesty that came with it, like there was no announcement that it was going up. Like, the only announcement they had was, hey, don't worry, the last 100 or 200 will go up at 9. Like, there should have been more announcements made.
And it went up before 9 and was gone.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
the lack of foresight with that. And to say, oh, we were surprised it was the hottest selling figure.
Well, they also made the most meta figure.
Yes. Like, you
Yeah.
should not have thought that. Like, 100% not thought that. You should have expected this is going to sell like hotcakes because we're selling it on our website. You can't get it anywhere else. It's only $20. It's going to charity. Like, all of that, even if it wasn't a meta figure, would probably sell really well. Like, it's a figure you can't get anywhere else. Of course it's going to sell well. So it just felt like a lack of foresight of, oh, well, you know, we may not hit 1,000. Like, what? Why would you think that? You should have expected you were going to sell it very quickly.
Yeah, I'm sure they could have sold twice that many easily.
Yeah, and I hope they reprint it. I don't know what the limitations are for them reprinting things. I hope it's not something where they're like, well, that's it. That's all we got.
We reuse sculpts all the time, so
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
But either way, I do feel sorry for those that didn't get one. Hopefully, you could find a kind person that did buy 6 for the community, for those that aren't able to get one, and can negotiate a very fair price to get one that is not
Yeah.
scalping.
Right. I totally agree with that. So that's all we have to say about Scott Porter. Scott Porter is still meta AF. So let's see.
That was only one of them.
Yeah, we're at 10:36. So I want to get through a few of these questions tonight. So, Miles, your question about the silver builds, we are going to talk about them when we can get the group together. We'd like to have BZ and Caleb on with Alex and I, like we said, because we all stayed in the same Airbnb and had a great time.
Yeah, I think.
And you know what? And you know what, Alex? I just want to make one more point there because it reminds me. We had so much fun this past weekend, right? You agree that we had fun? This is a trap.
Yeah,
this is a trap, Alex. I'm just going to warn you. This is a trap.
Oh, I was going to ask if we needed to ask Jason to defend himself so he doesn't have to hear about how much fun we had.
No. Well, no, because this is going to cement one of Jason's points.
Yeah, we had a ton of fun, Dan.
Yeah, Alex, we had a ton of fun, right?
Yeah, so much fun.
Why would we not push the company that makes the product to have more fun? To push more WKOs and events out the door so we can get together and have more freaking fun. Yep. Nope. I'm moving on. You're not allowed to respond to that. I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay, fine.
No, I'm kidding. No. More fun. It's because events are fun, and we play HeroClix to have fun. We want the company to put out more fun.
Yeah, of course.
So, Patrick Booth, that reminds me, your opinions on other major events occurring this year and how the new formats may impact. That's the big thing. I know Patrick's also from Vegas, and the first weekend of June, the Vegas guys are putting on the big Majestics event out there, which, you know, I would love to attend, but that's Theo's and mine's birthday's weekend. So, if it was one weekend later, I probably would have figured out how to fly out to Vegas. So I hope y'all have a great time out there, Patrick.
Yeah, and to go back real quick to, since we're going to talk about Miles' question later, it was Miles, right?
About the silver bills.
Silver Age?
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I will say about silver is, besides the whole Carnage Silver Surfer thing notwithstanding, I did feel way better about Silver Age now than Silver Age last year. You probably have a difference of opinions because you liked ID cards and Thanos, and those are both gone. I think part of that is the lack of Scarab. I think that played a big part. We didn't have Scarab around.
No Scarab. Really good.
Whether or not you like Thanos or not, I think him not really being there mattered some. The Surfer thing is just an inherent problem that Modern is going to have with Silver Surfer and Scarlet Witch. So that's not really just on silver. I just felt fine with it. Like I played in the team event, so it was Highlander, so there were limitations there, but I felt like it was fine. Like I didn't leave it thinking, oh man, this just is still not a great format. I thought there was enough in there. It's still, like a lot of people said, primarily modern with a sprinkling of silver. Sure. I think that'll change as years go on and more sets rotate, because you're not telling me 2 years from now Sarkarian Iron Man is still not going to be good, like, or Scarlet Witch, unless the rules significantly change. They're still going to be good, and so sure, I like Silver Age, and I'm a little sad that we're now have to switch just to pure modern. I hope one day, like future years, we can get a good mixture of both, to where we're not having to just like flip switches and be like, okay, this is only silver, okay, this is only modern. We could get a little bit of, okay, we got a modern age in June, we've got a good silver in May, just kind of a back and forth to kind of get the juices constantly flowing.
Wait, Alex, are you saying that you want more HeroClix events?
More events? That's what we were just talking about.
Oh yeah. Well, we know WKOs would never be silver unless The Rock was somehow doing WKOs.
Alex, you're not backing up your point there very well, because you just said you wanted more events.
I said I wanted more events. I was being realistic that WizKids is not going to be running them. We should expect other people to be running them. I didn't say I didn't want more events.
I know.
I've given up on the WKO idea. That's just not happening.
That's probably fair, but we're not going to give up on it.
We shouldn't accept that, though.
I'm not accepting it, Alex. We're going to push.
Nothing less than the best.
Nothing.
Okay.
That's right.
You guys sit there and complain about events. I'll try to figure out how to get more events somehow. That's my thought. It's like, we've got to just make events. We can't wait another year or two and hope they just happen. We lost 2 years, 3 years with COVID. We don't need to keep losing more because we're waiting for WizKids to start WKOs.
Yeah, we need like, I don't know, somebody to put something together that sells kits, I guess, huh?
So I just realized that the Guardians of the Galaxy post, they misspelled calendar. They spelled it CALANDR. Jeremy Christie says speculation on the Guardians holiday calendar. I don't know. It looks like
it's $99 for 10 figures, right?
12.
12? Oh,
Yeah.
It's 12 figures? Oh,
I think
it'll be fine.
it's fine. It looks cool. I'm down with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, more HeroClix. Can't complain, right?
Celebrate the holidays with 12 new sculpts in the very first HeroClix holiday calendar.
What would be your ratio, like, to make a thing like that worth it to you as a meta player? How many of the 12 need to be good?
1.
Just one?
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Jason? Is one enough?
It definitely has to have one. I like to have two, though.
I guess you could put it in the same mind frame of like a starter set or a miniatures game, right? Like, I'm not going to buy one of those unless one figure is good, at least.
Yeah, that's probably true.
99 is a little pricey.
It's a lot of money.
Like, I would need two...
You could buy 2.5 holiday calendars for one Silver Surfer.
Yeah, but you could probably buy like 11 of those figures for the price of like a super rare at some point if they're not very good.
Yeah, I mean, odds are one of those figures isn't probably winning you a world championship, but
well, you never know.
I said odds are they're probably not, but not that they won't. But
yeah,
well,
yeah, that's fair.
So, Adam's question, Patrick's question, Miles' question, the duo Hellfire Gala sets, like some of this stuff, like, you know, Garrett, like,
look, I'm down for those.
Well, I love them, right? That whole X-Men one is completely playable. What did we get? They got they announced the blue box one, which was the Avengers one.
Yeah. I want that Captain America and the Hellfire Gala outfit, dude.
Yeah, I was looking to see if I could find the pictures of that handy.
Have you seen that? Like,
I haven't seen the pictures, I don't think.
and there's like a Miles Morales from the comics. It was one of those outfits. Oh yeah, I want those for sure.
Now, Jason enlightened me as not a comic book guy. A majority of these are just like alternate cover arts, right? Like, not a lot of these happen in the comics.
No,
like I know the Hellfire thing was a thing in the comics.
No, the Hellfire Gala happened, and this was the outfits that they wore to the gala.
Right, I'm just asking like the Avenger part. I know like Fantastic Four was there too, but like I don't know if every time I look it up, I see just like, oh, this is an alternate cover. I didn't see much like lore wise of, oh, here's a picture of everyone there. So
I don't know off the top of my head if they were all like in the pages for sure.
Because I know the one everyone wants besides Captain America is clearly Doom. Because the Doom one with like the flowy over the shoulder thing, everyone loves Doom. So that one I know there's quite a few people that are eager to see that one, and I'm curious. When I was trying to look it up and be like, oh, what does the Fantastic Four look like? I wasn't finding much outside of alternate covers. So
yeah, so here's Bleeding Cool.
That.
All 64 designs for the X-Men's Hellfire Gala this summer. So there's a potential for 64.
The Doom one is cool. I want the Thor. Thor's kind of cool.
I will say the main thing everyone should be pumped about is I thought the first one with the Hellfire X-Men, that powers and abilities card was absolutely beautiful.
It was.
And then it immediately was outdated.
Yeah, that sucked.
So I'm hoping they reprint that with a new one and be like, all right, here's like a green one or a blue one, because that pack was almost like enough of a draw for me to get one, because I was like, this looks great. Like this is
that box, the box,
yes,
the box. Oh my god,
yes.
The box. Like the clasp. Oh god.
Like even if you didn't like any of the figures, you could easily say, oh yeah, like this was very well done, which is what I think they're trying to do with their iconic sets as well. But yeah, man, I mean, as long as they say, yeah, we've got new pack cards with the new rules on there, I mean, I'm game. I'll get one. Like I actually did not get the previous one because when I went to go get it, that's when we got new rules, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll just wait.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, it was so nice. I just like it. I like to keep the box and just carry my stuff around in it.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a good idea. All right, so your thoughts on the different iconic sets, aka Richard Shaw. I mean, no, Richard Shaw asked that. Aka, do we think Thanos Snap is worth it? Ooh.
Not on its own.
No, not on its own. Maybe if you could play two Thanoses, they are unique, so you can't. But
if you could find a way to make it more consistent, like a way to, because it's, I think anytime Thanos is dealt damage.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. So if you found a way to make it where like, oh, turn one, I could deal him damage, like falling damage or something, which would be a lot of work. Maybe. But otherwise, no.
Couldn't you just like TK elevate it out from underneath him and make him fall?
He has a reducer.
Yeah, you'd have to leech him.
Never mind. Well, you can do that too, I guess. Seems like a lot of work though. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a question about the other iconics, or was?
He just says the thoughts on the different iconics. But I just went ahead and extrapolated that out to, do we think that Thanos is playable?
So we know of 5, right? There's Spider-Man, Wolverine, Thanos, the Bane Batman, and then the Slapping Batman. Is there one I'm missing?
No, I don't think so.
And we've seen the cards for all of them. Which ones right now are you buying all 5?
Yeah, I'm buying all 5 because they're awesome. But
Jason,
I don't know that I'm buying any of them.
Is there any, for someone who's on the fence, say I'm on the fence of playability, I don't know if I want to order any, because they already said Spider-Man and Wolverine, I think, is sold out on their website. I think that's what they said. Off the top of your head, which ones are you thinking about, like, meta potential?
Wolverine.
Spider-Man.
Wolverine.
Okay. Any of the others? We both kind of named Thanos. Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean, Thanos is probably the most possibility of having that.
Wait, what? The most possibility of
being meta.
Thanos is?
Yeah.
No. What?
Enlighten me.
Yeah,
Alex.
I thought.
Tell me, Alex. Which one do you think?
I thought you were going to say Thanos was the least likely to be relevant.
Why?
Or Spidey.
So
I think both Batman have potential.
Yeah. So
Batman sets.
When Thanos takes damage, gives him a gem token for each click of damage taken. Power once per game. Remove 6 gems from Thanos. If you do, each player divides their opponent's force cards into 2 piles. Each player then chooses a pile of their own force's cards. Deal 3 unavoidable damage to all characters other than Thanos whose cards are in the chosen piles. It's not a hidden pile, so you know who's in the pile. You get to choose who takes the damage.
Yeah.
So...
Okay. All right.
So you've got to hit him for 6 clicks of damage. That puts him on click 7. Then he can power action, deal 3 unavoidable. That seems pretty good to me.
And he's how many points?
150.
It's not terrible.
I mean, there's other hard to KO things in 150 points.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, I don't think any of these are just, like, only kitchen table. Like, there's potential in probably all of them. But, like, Spider-Man is kind of very borderline. I like the Batman ones. Slapping Batman, for example. The fact that he could just potentially stop whatever you're doing to an adjacent person, right? I think it's like if he's adjacent to it, you try to take an action, is it like 50% chance like nothing happens? If I remember correctly. Do you guys remember what Batman says?
No, I don't.
No. Mm-mm.
Okay. Give me like
which Batman? The Nightfall one or the slap one?
Slapping Batman.
Once per turn, when an adjacent opposing character is given an action token, you may immediately roll a d6. That action has no effect, and after resolutions, does it 1 damage.
Yeah. So basically, anything they try to do that gives them an action token, which I thought you'd put action tokens on at the end.
No. When it's given an action, not an action token. So if they go to perplex, you can stop it.
Yes, okay. You said token in my head. I was like, I thought you gave tokens at the end.
No, I
of
said
the
action.
actions.
If I said action token, it was a misspeak.
Okay. Yeah. So like, if you can protect him and get next to somebody, that means they potentially just. Is it once per turn?
It is once per turn.
It has to be once per turn.
It is once per turn.
Once per turn.
So they have to waste a like a perplex or something. Otherwise, they're.
Yeah, because it's not a.
Try to attack and they do nothing.
It is a May, so you shut off the attack. It's not a must. So you just wait for them to roll to punch Batman, and then you just say, nah. You don't get
and
to.
And he's 75?
55, so even better.
55.
Mm-hmm.
And he's detective. He doesn't have bad other stuff. Like for me, it's like that's a effect we have not seen. Like we don't. There may be something related, but in my head, it's like something that just says you're trying to take an action next to me. I say no, and you take a damage.
Yeah.
So like to me, that says, hey, that's pretty unique, and unique things typically are the things that get played well. It's just hard to imagine it in a world of Carnage Silver Surfers.
Well, Batman has stealth, so Carnage Surfer can't shoot through stealth, so it's fine.
Yeah, so to me,
And if Surfer goes up to punch, then he's 50% chance that he doesn't get to punch.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, to me, it's just that that whole set, it feels. I forgot what the Robin does. I'd have to look it up.
The Robin doesn't do much great. Doesn't do great.
He does. Either way, they do something unique. Enough for me to be like, yeah, I'd like to get that. That Batman does something unique. It's detective. Detective is kind of the hot word right now with mystery cards. And then the Bane set. Bane is pretty nutty. The whole healing thing is very unique. A very unique way of doing kind of a pseudo, not really a vampire dial. He starts lower, and then free action, you roll d6 and heal him that amount, but give him a whatever it's called token.
Overdose. It's a good way. It's really a good way to show off his venom pump for sure.
Yeah, and he has a way to remove them, like that doesn't hurt him. It's a very cool mechanic, like the way they have it done, to where it's like, hey, I think he's only 75. If I remember correctly, he might be the 75 one.
Yeah.
That's plenty of points for the long dial that he has. Now, if you get him to top click, it's not like he's super amazing, right? Like he's like a charging super strength. He's a Bane.
Yeah,
essentially.
He's 14 for 5.
Yeah, I mean that's not bad for 75 points, man. So I'm probably buying both Batman sets. I don't remember if the Batman itself from that set was any good, or the Azrael? Is that Azrael?
The Batman makes pogs.
Oh yes, and they're pretty good pogs too.
Right.
Man, I really should have looked up those dials.
You should have.
Before I start talking about them. Yeah.
I tell you what, the reason I'm buying them all is because they're all iconics.
Sure. They also got cool looking cards. I like the black part.
I was saying they're iconic. I was trying to say they're iconic, but I added the X on there for emphasis. Like they're iconic. But they also showed the ones we haven't seen yet, the cards for the Superman ones, right?
Yeah, that's Superman. That was on there, wasn't it?
The Fall of Superman or whatever.
I don't know if I saw those cards.
No, we haven't seen those cards, but we've seen those previews that they're coming.
Oh, yeah. That is an Iconics we don't know about yet.
That's right.
That's right. Thank you. I was thinking we had them all, but that makes sense.
Right. So, all right.
But so far, I feel like they're doing a good job. So.
Right. I agree. So, all right. Final thoughts. Alex.
Man, I'm pumped for getting ready for Gen Con. If you don't have your ticket, get one.
Yep, that's right.
Like, go ahead and just go from here and go ahead and definitely book a place if you haven't already, because it's already a little late for that. We were struggling with that, but get going, because it's HeroClix time. We know what's coming.
That's right. Yeah, so it's a week from this upcoming. Well, this episode's probably going to come out. Today's Friday. It's probably going to come out Sunday. It's a week from Sunday. So, like, a week from Mother's Day is event registration. So you've got to have your ticket bought before noon Central that day to get in and order, preview your, to register for your events.
Yeah, events.
So, like, if it's like last year and we need to rush in and get a qualifier reserved, right? Yeah, so you got to be ready for that. Just a reminder. So, Jason, final thoughts.
Yeah, I'm pumped for getting ready for Gen Con. I want to see the events on the website so we see what's coming. So hopefully we'll see that this week. Got to see it this week, right?
Yep. I agree.
Yep. So,
and it's not about pulp. Let's play some pulp.
Let's play. You know what? Thanks everybody for listening to Clixed Off today. Let's play some theme, and we'll talk to y'all next time. Later. Oh, later. I said you're later for you, Jason.
Yeah, why are you stealing my line?
I was so excited for it that I just blah. I said the quiet part out loud. Hold on. Let's try it again. Thanks for listening to Clixed Off today. We'll talk to y'all next time.
Later.
Bye.